I'm not necessarily approaching this as an artist who has a personal expression that they want to portray. I'm somebody who wants to bring this experience of the lives of the saints to the people in the most artful and tasteful way that I feel I can possibly make.
Well, I'd say that's what a true artist does.
Yes.
That's what artists of the past were doing, is that they were creating things for God's glory, not for their own glory. And I think that's a big criticism of why, media sucks these days, is because people are literally just putting um, their own selves. They're writing themselves and their stories and their movies and their own politics. And especially in Hollywood, it's like their own, 21st century LA, view of the world and media, which can take place in any setting. And it's really jarring when you see modern politics being played out in like a medieval fantasy or something. And you're just like,
Yeah.
what's happening here,
And
And
audiences can sense that. They can sense that, and it turns them on.
exactly.
Mhm.
Right. Even, my wife wanted me to read Oscar Wilde's a picture of Dorian Gray. I've never read that book. She's a huge Gothic literature person. I'm not a big reader, but I told her I'll read it this year. Anyways, in the first like 10 pages, he has this artist character basically saying that he's complaining that artists these days put too much of their own crap into their work. And this is like a, early 20th century book. This is from like 1920s or something, 1910s or something like that. Um, so I think this is kind of like an age old thing, like an age old issue. But I'd say, like I said before, that's what a true artist does: is they create not for themselves, but for a higher power, for a greater good than themselves. Which, of course, in Western culture is for God's glory. Right?
Yeah, I totally agree, and so I'm coming in with this ethos and this mentality, and you know, and as I finished the film school, I began to work on some of my on my own projects, and I was really fortunate to travel to Mount Sinai,
Right.
and
Yeah. Tell us about that.
I was able to film a documentary with Father Justin Sinaites, who was extremely generous, and I was super grateful for the access that he gave me. Um, and actually, it's really sad because I think people have heard of that. There's a lot of controversy at the monastery on Mount Sinai, and there's been a lot of upheaval with the Egyptian government and the Greek government, and then there's a lot of threats on the monastery's ownership. And actually, I'm not sure if this is totally true, but I've heard that he's been moved away from that monastery.
Mm.
So that makes it even more special to me that I was able to capture him at the monastery, because he is an absolute, he was the librarian of the monastery, and he was an absolute wizard. And he showed me all of these incredible ancient texts. We can link the documentary so people can watch it. But I was able to travel there, and he gave me a tour of the monastery. I was able to capture that and turn it into a documentary. And it didn't, it got a decent amount of views on YouTube. I was pretty happy that it got that many views, to be honest. Um,
Yeah, it's a
but
great documentary. I'm gonna link in the description so people can take a look at it, and just so people know, both I may have non-Orthodox viewers, but even the Orthodox viewers that don't know, this is the monastery that has the burning bush, right? This is the burning bush that Moses spoke to God through. So this is a monastery built around that
yes,
place.